Good morning, everyone. Grant, would you lead us in prayer, please?
Heavenly Father, we want to take this moment to pause and thank you for all that we have on a daily basis. We pray as always for our board and our employees and the people that we serve, and continue to make wise choices, always move in a positive direction. We pray as always that you'll watch over and care for us in very turbulent times, that you'll lead and guide our minds as well as our hearts, and be examples for others. We pray as always that you'll watch over and care for us as we leave here today. Forgive us our sins in Christ.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lance, would you do the roll call, please?
Commissioner Harville.
Here.
Commissioner Pitts.
Here.
Commissioner Miller.
Here.
Commissioner Toller.
Here.
Commissioner Gould.
Here. Having quorum, I'll call the meeting to order. First item, approval of minutes. We have regular meeting minutes from September 10th and September 24th. Everybody have a chance to look at those?
Yes.
Corrections or additions, deletions?
I'll make a motion to approve. Second. Commissioner Harville.
Yes.
Commissioner Pitts.
Yes.
Commissioner Miller.
Yes.
Commissioner Toller.
Yes.
Commissioner Gould.
Yes. We also have the executive minutes from August 27th and September 10th. Everybody look those over. Any additions or deletions?
Motion and maybe close.
Remain closed. Second.
Commissioner Harville.
Yes.
Commissioner Pitts.
Yes.
Commissioner Miller.
Yes.
Commissioner Toller.
Yes.
Commissioner Gould.
Yes. Public comments. We're limited here, but you guys want to speak up? Committee reports.
Well, Matt, I haven't had a meeting yet. I'll have next week, so I'll have something the next time.
I'll say that, patrol was full. Very full. A lot of activity out there the last couple of weeks.
911 met, Grant, in absence of Steve Hartline, ran the meeting, putting up the report there on time, and then the SIDA met yesterday, the whole thing, so I got the time wrong, the location was moved, so I missed it, but they approved a huge bond issue for Saline County as meat production.
Anybody else? Building permits.
You have one. It's parcel number 0230011148 at 5380 State Route 146 East. It's for a pole barn for Trainer Ag Properties. No floodplain, no subdivision, recommended for approval.
Maybe that was attached to my package you sent.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
I don't know if I've been doing that, but that was great.
Normally Jeff brings them in, but since he's out, he brought it to me, so I scanned it in with the packet.
We need to try to make that, right.
I can make that change.
Gives a little more time than security.
Any questions?
I will say some trainers do give us some benefits for Union County. So growing and
Yeah, he's
amazing, yeah.
big time. Big time.
Employing a bunch of people. He's got a wonderful business.
Can I get a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Second.
Commissioner Harville?
Yes.
Commissioner Pitts?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Toller?
Yes.
Commissioner Gould?
Nothing under old business. Move on into new business. Approve payment of bills. Everybody look at the bills. Any questions or concerns? Today?
Do you have the extras?
Make a motion to pay her bills.
Certain extras. Upstairs. The bills.
Give us the update, Angie, on the court system.
Yes, so I have 7 legal bills that need to be approved. They total $3,206.30. It's kind of where we're at currently without these bills. Right now, they're $20,273 over budget, so this will make it about 23.5, somewhere around there with these.
Do you want to rescind your motion and include these in there, or do you want to do two? Okay. All right. That's why I was talking to her to see if we want to put these extras in the same motion or not.
That's fine.
Okay.
The only thing I can say about that is less than it has been, but that could be a lot of reasons for that.
What was the total again? Got it. Okay, so we'll need a motion including that and your regular bills then.
Oh, yeah.
You did, okay, I'm sorry. I was talking to her. Most confusing bills vote we've had in a while here. Okay. Commissioner Harville?
Yes.
Commissioner Pitts?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Toller?
Yes.
Commissioner Gould?
Yes.
Item B, we have completed another collective bargaining agreement. This one is with the Union County Clerk's Office, Labor's Local 773. Which, happy to say.
Both of them are 5 years, correct?
They are.
Again, that's the first. The one we approved in an earlier meeting, one of them was a 5-year. That's just never happened, but as far as I'm concerned, that's great, so we don't have to do this again for 5 years, so.
How much time it's freed up for you and doing all of this?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Hours and hours go into this, in case anybody wondered.
Sure it is.
It's a grueling task. I make a motion, we approve the collective bargaining agreement between Union County, Illinois, Union County Clerk's Office and Labor's Local 773.
Second.
Commissioner Harville?
Yes.
Commissioner Pitts?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Toller?
Yes.
Commissioner Gould?
Likewise, we have to approve collective bargaining agreement between Union County, Illinois, Union County Treasurer's Office and Labor's Local 773. Again, that's one more down. Got a few to go. I put that in the form of a motion to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Harville?
Yes.
Commissioner Pitts?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Toller?
Yes.
Commissioner Gould?
Next item on the agenda is approval or acceptance of Union County ambulance bid. We put this out and Grant, you want to explain any of this and so forth? I mean, there's some additions on here that are not normally, if I'm correct, in the past have been on the bids and so forth.
You're correct. Historically, in the past, we have purchased these vehicles and took what was basically a stock item, the loading system, I think is what you're referring to.
Right.
the federal standards are starting to change. For example, if we took what is a stock item, it would not even be legal in Missouri. What's called an antler system. It is in Illinois still currently, but the last truck we purchased, we had made an upgrade to what was called a performance load system. It basically constitutes a rail. It meets the federal crash standard specs. I think an older system used to meet a 3G requirement. They are starting to require, I believe, don't want to be quoted on this part, but I think it's 10G in a wreck. The performance load does meet that. This truck in the base specs does have a performance load system in it. The difference of what you would see on the updated quote is a power load system, which is in conjunction with the cots that we use now. These are striker cots. It is made so that they can get the cot onto this rail that comes out of the truck, and then it does the lifting. It meets the same specifications for a crash test as the performance load does. It's expensive, there's no doubt about that. It is the direction that most services are migrating to now with their cots. It is designed so that we cut down on more injuries. Kent can remember, Lance can remember, we were on, cots have gone through generational changes on how we transport patients. Years ago, Kent and I dead loaded every person we got. We had to pick them up from the ground, load them in, take them out, lower them to the ground. We had back injuries that were frequent. Then we went to cots that had carriages probably in the generation when Lance was involved with the animal service, where the carriage we'd pick up from only one end and then we would fold the carriage up. We have since then moved to power cots, which will lift about 550 pounds at the push of a button because they're running from a battery system and hydraulics. On top of that now, what they're doing is trying to further cut down injury by adding rail systems into these trucks so that when you lock onto that rail, it will now pick the carriage up and it will take the patient in or out, and they don't have to do that lifting as well. This is the majority of what you'll see in most of the newer vehicles that are coming out. With that, on that quote, you also will see the cost of another striker cot. The service life on a cot, which we have to certify these every year, is about 8 years. Can we recertify one that is older than that? I believe we can. But cots go through pretty rigorous use every day. This is their suggestion, is 8 years. We're just starting to look forward to starting to cycle things in and out and keep one spare so that if something were to go down, we can always have something to pop into a truck. So those are the two additions that you see on top of what our bid was on the truck, which is separated on the sheet, I believe, that Angie was giving you. What questions do you have in regards to that?
What do you think? I mean, I'm sure it'll happen. How soon will the state of Illinois? Are you seeing anything as far as?
I haven't been told that they're going to switch this, but I think they will, because now keep in mind, as long as you're meeting the crash rating, you can still be with a performance load system. It will meet that crash rating criteria, and it is included in the base bid of that truck that you got. If you were to decide that we move into this better generation of system of loading patients, then they would deduct the cost of that off that's already included in the base bid, lowering the price, I think, $2,000 or $3,000.
Correct me if I'm wrong, we've not had any work comps claim in that area. And basically, that's what this is about.
Since we went to power costs, we haven't had back injuries, you're correct.
Right. I can remember when I used to do that years ago, whenever my two back surgeries probably related to that, but I can't prove it, so. Right. I don't know, what's everybody think? I mean, that's a lot of extra money. I mean, I guess I'm assuming from what you're telling me, the life of our cots, regardless of what we do here, we're probably going to be spending 19 or 20,000 for another one here shortly. As far as
A little bit less than that if you don't have power cots, but
Yeah,
close.
so,
So just so you know, the sheet you have in front of you, the top two are the base for the ambulance. The bid that came in is 176,385. That's what I have here. And then the next one is for the power load system that he's talking about, which is an additional 21,600. And then the last one is for the actual cot, which is 19,785. So the system, the updates is better than the performance load, is an additional 21,600. The cot is 19,700. Like Grant said, we have cots that are at the end of their life. We may get another year out of them. You may get another 2 years out of them. Eventually, you're going to have to replace it. And I think you said a performance load cot was probably closer to 16, maybe 17.
Well, a power cot's a power cot, depending on how you're maybe confusing a power cot with a power load system.
Right.
The cot price is what's quoted.
So even if it's for the performance load that doesn't have to have the power load set up at the bottom of it.
We can go right back with a performance load and you take the whole power load cost out of this. The options that are in front of you will work any way you want it to work. You can take the base truck price of the 174 that you quoted is there, but we have the option of adding a power load or not.
yeah, we're going to have the expense of the cot.
Within a couple of years at
coming out
least.
regardless, so.
Yes.
So it's about $21,600 difference.
What are they telling you time-wise as far as, I know sheriff's vehicles are like 6 months out.
Right. In August, I know that in this particular case, Osage had 43 chassis on order and they were allotted 6. What is usually a 6-month build after it's approved and the order is made is probably closer to a year now before we'll have this truck here.
Yeah, I personally think the power load system should be included in the price. In my business, that's all I do all day long. We lift things all day long. And in your department, you encounter patients of different weights, some's heavier than others, and you don't know which gender is going to be out on which call. Some are naturally stronger than others. It's just the law of physics. And I think that this would make your department much more efficient. And I think it would lessen the chance for any back injuries to any of your employees. And in your business, time is everything. And I actually think it would be a good idea to have that.
Grant, you mentioned a couple of things here. It's going to take over a year to get this.
Yes.
When would be the next time we need to be replacing an ambulance?
I can tell you that the 2017, which is the newest one you have purchased, has at or over 100,000 miles on that motor now. Chassis body-wise doing very well. That one we will use for some time to come. We are on the second, all 3 of the other trucks, 2 of the other trucks have all had motors changed in recent years. Starting to have some body issues with one of those. The other one, which is a primary truck running every day, has got well over 200,000 miles on it now, which is the motor that I've mentioned to you guys for some time. I think it's held up, knock on wood, it's held up very well, but anytime we're going to be putting the motor in that truck to, lengthen its service life as well. The body's good on it, so it's worth doing.
The reason I asked that though is it's going to take a year to get this one. If normally next year at this time we'd be ordering, I mean.
We normally
should
do
we-
about every 3 to 4 years, 3 to 5 years. I think closer to 3, but
Okay, the 3, it's going to take a year to get this one. Should we kind of stick in our memory next year, or we look at how long it'll take to get another one? And and so we don't have to wait a year.
It's just, it's like everything else through all of the national and the worldwide pandemic, it slowed raw materials down.
My other question is, you said that these lifts are done by a battery system. Is the battery part of the cop or part of the vehicle?
It is they're separate. We have chargers in each truck. We have batteries that we can swap out, depending on the weight of the patient, how many cycles it will do up and down, which are multiple.
My only reason I ask this is if the battery did fail, they still are able to be used manually?
Yes.
I mean, I hate for you to be out, I hate for you to be out in the field and the battery, like all of us, you turn it on, the battery's dead.
Well, there's spare batteries in every truck, but I think it would be more of a mechanical failure. You're asking about
Okay, that's what
a battery failure, because we already have the redundancy of each truck in that. But,
just a stupid question, I mean.
yeah, you don't hardly see any service anymore not using this type of technology. This is commonplace just to cut down these workman's comp injuries and things like that.
Is it, I see on here, is it possible, or are they just putting this on here as a CYA? Is it possible to get a 2022 chassis, or is that?
He told me that he was attempting to order it as a 23, but if he did wind up getting as a 22, that he would make a price adjustment.
Yeah.
Down. Yes.
You know, Brad, you mentioned something about new engines in your older vehicles.
Yes.
How much of a savings is that versus
Brand new ambulance.
a brand new ambulance?
That's a good question. If we were just changing the motor the last time we did it, which we got a really good deal on working locally with code, it was in excess of $25,000 for the motor to be put in. I don't believe that's the case now. I think it's going to be more than that, but I would say safely it would take 30 to 35,000 to put a motor in. But in conjunction with that, it's as deep as you want to go. You know, we are buying these trucks, hopefully through the company that we're working with now, so that down the road, you will then have the option, Kent will remember this, to do what's called remounts, where we can just take the box off the truck, put it on a new chassis, then do whatever update work, which is up to you. That becomes options at that point, how deep you want to go on that. And you can cut your price considerably. The company that we used in the past, no one will remount their trucks. The company we're using now, since I made this switch a few years ago, you will have the option moving forward down the line, and you will probably save close to 50% of the cost of the new ambulance to do a remount.
And those engines come with a full warranty.
If we were just changing the motor,
Right.
whatever the warranty is that you get,
Well, I
previous
just
motor.
I had a new motor put in one at Cape Pazuzu over at Coles. And I think out the door, I think it was just under $23,000. And at first they kind of flinched, you know, they thought, well, you can get another truck. I said, yeah, I guess I'd get a new truck, 120 or 30,000, or I can buy another used truck and then bring it home and then have the same exact problem that I am now. So I opted to go ahead with, like Ian's, with the new motor in an older chassis.
Yeah.
And actually I've got like a 2-year warranty, unlimited miles on it. And so, yeah, it's sitting at home ready to go.
Yeah, and that's what we'll be doing with one of these that Angie's well aware of. But I keep saying, I guess I've run in fear of this one motor for some time now, but it's held out and done well. Now that I talk about it, I'll have problems next week, but
It's a diesel, so I mean, it ought to get several 100,000 miles on it.
it should. You gotta remember, we jump in them cold and we run them hard.
Yeah, who's the manufacturer?
Ford.
Yeah, they work Ford engines now, no longer international.
Angie, can you talk about the financial part of this?
So we put it in the budget, to purchase this ambulance for this year, just for the base, not with the power load, so that extra money wasn't budgeted. However, we have this, America Rescue Plan money. So within that money, you can use it for COVID-related expenses. I believe that it should qualify for that. Like I've explained to you guys before, that all the rules for that are so gray. I'm a black and white person, so it's really hard for me, but it's like a gray area. It doesn't specifically say you can, it doesn't specifically say you can't. But I've discussed it with Grant, and we feel, because of, this is a fact, because of COVID, he's going on a lot more calls, which is putting wear and tear on our ambulances more than we've ever had before, because the call volume has increased by so much. So I believe that we could justify using those funds to pay for this, but I can't ever guarantee it. If we went through an audit and they came back and said something.
The reality, we have to buy it anyway, so if it goes through,
Right.
fantastic. If it doesn't, then we'll just have to figure out other methods.
Right.
Yeah, we should be concerned about the wear and tear on employees too. And that would lessen that quite a bit. I really think it would.
The power load system.
Mhm.
As a former medic, I can tell you that would be very big and very beneficial. I used there in my career there was when we got the first power cut, and that made it a whole lot handier. And this would be the final key to do that. I mean, you already have to kind of lift that person over to the cot anyway, but then, with you could reduce the amount of crews that go out to certain calls. I know we went on the mini call to help load a patient that the crew needed help loading
Yeah,
on.
if it's raining and unions are trying to get somebody loaded up and everything's slippery, the last thing you want to do is be dropping anybody.
The power cut was great, but you still had to hold the end up and let the wheels come up and then push it in. And sometimes you're parked up on a hill, makes it difficult, things like that. And honestly, I think liability wise with that, I would think it's easier to load. We never really dumped anybody I know of, but still yet things can happen. So if that kind of takes
the
that.
COVID funds pay for it, let's just go for it.
I believe they will. I can't promise.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve this. The whole
Shebang?
thing.
I second that.
What's the total amount? Real quick?
$217,770.
Any more discussion? Okay. Commissioner Harville?
Yes.
Commissioner Pitts?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Toller?
Yes.
Commissioner Gould?
Yes.
Thanks for the information.
Thank you for working with us.
Last item on the agenda is declaration of surplus property. We're in the process of, yesterday, I think we've still got more moving out to the auction barn. This is a list here of what has been moved. Is that, or all of it?
Some of it has been moved, some of it still needs to be moved. You guys did about, honestly, it was probably 4 months ago, because the auction barn's been so backed up. You declared most of the item surplus.
Right.
This is additional
Just
stuff
additional
within the
stuff.
last 4 months that we need declared.
When will the sale be?
We don't have a sale date yet.
I need a motion to approve this surplus property for auction. I'll say.
Commissioner Harville?
Yes.
Commissioner Pitts?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Toller?
Yes.
Commissioner Gould?
We do need to go into executive session to discuss litigation and employees. Briefly.
Need a motion? I'll make the motion.
Second.
Commissioner Harville?
Yes.
Commissioner Pitts?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Toller?
Yes.
Commissioner Gould?
Yes.